Hello, everybody. We are here for the last coaches chat of the Clean Kitchen Challenge. It's week 12. I cannot believe it's here already. It seems like it's flown by, and I know a lot of you are probably really antsy and anxious about this all ending, but the good news is that it doesn't have to end. You can stay in your app and keep it on, which you got some of those instructions this week earlier. But if you do have any other questions about keeping your app turned on past this week, don't hesitate to ask us. I'll be glad to help you figure that out if you can't figure it out in the directions that we sent. But another announcement before I get started is progress pictures are due tonight. I know it is hard taking progress pictures, but if you only took week 1 and you haven't taken any since then, and you've been sticking with doing something with your habits, I guarantee you something has changed and you need to see what that is. Okay, so take the pictures. Even if you don't turn them in, take them for yourself so you can understand just where you started and how far you've come. Now, of course, the pictures aren't the only things that are progress. We've preached that over and over. There's non-scale victories. There's all kinds of things that you've already accomplished within the 12 weeks that doesn't have anything to do with, your physical outward appearance or anything like that. But it is another way, just another measurement of some type of progress for when you start talking crazy to yourself and telling yourself that you haven't done anything. Well, we're here to keep telling you that you have. And taking your progress pictures is one of those ways to help you stay motivated and keep going. Even if, say you had a spell where you felt like you didn't change at all, still look at those week 1 pictures. Look at those week 1 pictures, compare it to the week 12, and I promise you'll see change. Now you got instructions, I believe it was on Saturday or Sunday, on how to turn them in. But just a refresher, I need you to email both week 1 and your most recent progress pictures. So whatever you have taken this week, to that email address, ckprogresspics@gmail, with your full name in the subject line. That's how I can organize everybody. Nobody else sees these pictures. Nobody knows who anyone is unless you tell somebody who you are on the pictures. I'm the only one that knows identities. And so I will be chopping heads off and cropping them. Please don't send them already cropped. If you did, it's fine, or I can use them. It's just easier for me to place them in our format if I have the original of the images. And so if you don't, and another thing, if you don't have week 1 pictures, but you uploaded them to the app, you can let me know and I can go grab them from there. But if you have them, to save me time, please send them all, week 1 and week 12, in an email with your name, so I can organize them. Those are due tonight on Wednesday. Now, if you are like, crap, I wanted to take them in the morning and you didn't take them this morning, do not fret. I usually start editing the format and putting them in the voting form about mid-morning, because we usually have some late scragglers. So you can send them Thursday morning. But let's just say by 10 a.m., that's when I'm going to start editing. If you try to send them in Thursday evening, it's better to get them in for my schedule. And I'm at football practice these days until like 8 o'clock. So anyway, get them in at the latest by 10 a.m. Thursday morning, and I can take them. But again, take the pictures. If you're not sure if you want to show them, just think about how you yourself and why you signed up. What grabbed your attention? I know it's icky to take progress pictures, but they can become a badge of honor to show you just how far you've come and to show other people that it is possible. You know, it's an inspiration. It's not about looking magnificent. It's about showing people steps, the simple way that you can go about changing the direction of your health. And so that's what the pictures represent. They represent somebody that they identify with, that they look at your week 1 pictures and they say, oh my gosh, that is me. But look at what they did just in 12 weeks. And so that's why the progress pictures are so important to show, and not to sit there and say like, ooh, I'm amazing. It's to show people you can do it too. So turn them in. It's like Christmas morning for me whenever I start getting in all the emails and all the progress pictures. I love it. It is like the best day ever. So they're starting to trickle in. Keep them going. Keep them coming in, and we can get that voting form out. The voting form will go out on Friday. So I get all the pictures. I edited them on Thursday. The voting form goes out on Friday. It will be posted here in this group, in the public or the main Facebook private group. And so all past clients can vote and coaches can vote. We don't share the link outside of the group, so because some people don't want their pictures on like for the public eye. It's just for our group. And so whoever has the most votes, and it's always a close vote. So every vote matters. That person with the most votes by the end of the night, I think it's like 9 p.m. or something is the cutoff on Friday. That's the person that gets the $1,000. And it's fun. We'll announce it on Saturday, and then we'll set you off into the world. But so that's done with the announcements. For this week, we are ending with obviously a lot of perspective type of lessons. This week we kind of started off with a lot of people. We have been focusing on the 80-20 model. 80% of the time you do your habits and they're in line with your goals, and then 20% of the time you have wiggle room. And so this week we tried to kind of bring it full circle, where it's not necessarily a finite number that you can pinpoint, so to speak, but it's a mindset, a feeling, a way to live. Now, we have tried to illustrate that 80-20 model by giving certain ways to put a roundabout finite number on it. So your meal compliance chart, where you get your average of how well you hit your habits, that's a way to measure it. But other than that, and also the habit tracker, like in the app, when you check off your habits each day and you get that score, that's a way to measure it. So, you have those numbers there to guide you and to guide your choices. When it comes to actually like saying, okay, this is 80-20, in the lessons that we have this week, which you got on Monday and Tuesday, I do believe, first was trying to identify, how do you measure your 20%? Because that is a question that we get a lot. Like, the clients ask of the coaches, well, what is your 20%? Or how do I know that I am dipping into my 20%? And in the beginning, using stuff like the meal compliance chart and your food log and the habit tracker and stuff like that starts to give you the idea of what that looks like and the choices that you make throughout the day. So then you can start to learn what it feels like. But that's just what it is. It is a feeling. It's not where you have to stick to a certain strict macronutrient count or anything like that. There's no, I can't sit there and tell you that if you eat this amount of protein and this amount of fat and carbs or whatever, and from certain food sources, and then you eat it, and then you eat the other from junk food, that's going to be your 80-20. It's more like a feeling of how your body reacts to what you're feeding it. And in the beginning, obviously, you're going to be more strict or compliant to eating better quality foods because you're hyper focused, you're vigilant, you're very diligent on trying to hit those habits and be good and follow the rules. So no doubt you have probably been more than 80% compliant most of the time, like within the challenge. But a lot of times you could dip into that 20% when it really just means it's okay. Those things, when you dip into the 20%, just means it's a oopsies, a whatever. It's not what you're focused on. And in the lesson, we talk about it not being a finite number, but more of a feeling, and that you should, instead of trying to figure out what that finite number is, switch the way that you think about things and understand that you're living for your 80%, not what you can have in your 20%. And I think that's what people get hung up on. They get hung up on what they can't have. They think, oh, I'm never going to be able to eat pizza, or I'm never going to be able to eat cake, or I shouldn't have that. It's like this shame that, that they tell themselves that I can't have that. Well, when you start to eat better quality foods and you start to realize what it makes you feel like and understand what good actually feels like, what health is actually supposed to feel like, you don't start thinking of like, oh, I can't have, cake or whatever. You start thinking, I can have all these other foods that are going to benefit me in other ways, even outside of what I physically look like. And so you start to crave that feeling of what certain foods give you over what you can't have. And it's not that you can't have it, obviously, but it's just your mindset starts to shift, because you understand that, yes, while you can have those things on occasion or whatever, and they're not off limits, the stuff in the 20%, it's still, your focus shifts, your priority shifts into, I'm living to fill that 80%, which is my habits, and whatever choices that I make in the moment of like, oops, I'm gonna have some cake at this birthday dinner, it's not planned, it's whatever, that's your 20%. And so if you didn't get to that lesson yet on that particular one, is how to define your 20%, that's on Monday. Then we kind of shift around, and while I don't necessarily like for people to compare what they're eating to anyone else's, because remember, you're focused on what you can do consistently and stay with, and what you're consistently just trying to be better each day is going to look like somebody different from somebody that's further down in their journey, better practice at their habits. So a lot of times you'll look at somebody else that has a certain body composition, and yes, maybe you would want to mirror what they're doing. Yes, that's essentially what we're getting at, is that if you have a goal, you're striving to do what healthy people do. But it's a process. It's a journey that you don't go from 180, from what you were just doing one day to what a well-practiced person is doing the next day and make it stick. It's a journey. But in the next lesson on Tuesday, we talk about, I kind of map out what my 80-20 looks like. So I don't count macros. I hate it. Like I cannot stand having to think about that stuff. It makes my head hurt. I got a lot of other things to think about other than whether or not I'm hitting my protein, fat, or eating too much fat or whatever. So the portion sizes works for me and the way that I eat. And it's worked for me for years. That's how I've gotten healthy. Yes, I've had times where I've measured things, and it served a purpose. It did. It's another information tool that helped shape what I view as like healthy portion sizes for my body and my activity. Because yes, I may eat a bigger portions than what my hand size is. But I have learned that feeling of what 80-20 looks like for my body. So, and we've said this in the past, like your nutrition is going to ever be evolving based off of what you're doing during the season of life. So maybe you're working out super hard, or you're training for something, or, you know, you've got something super physically active that you do every single day. Like, you're going to need more fuel. You're going to need more food that may not look like exactly like the portion sizes, but through living in the habits and understanding, like, or becoming the habits, like becoming the person that actually likes plants and water and protein and stuff like that, what a habit filling meals look like, you're not going to stress about eating too much of that. Like, it's going to be a feeling of like, all right, my body's telling me I'm hungry. I'm not going to feel guilty for feeling hungry. I'm just going to eat more of what the good stuff does for me. Like, all right, I know this stuff is going to do good things for me. I'm not going to feel guilty about it because my body's calling for it. And so in that lesson, I touch on that, and I talk about some weeks I eat more, some days I eat more. You know, it just depends on how I'm feeling. There are days where I you know, eat not level 2 type of habits, you know, like this past weekend, Sunday, I ate one thing of green. I ate broccoli. And it was just because I was being lazy and I didn't want to go to the grocery store. But, you know, there are days where I don't hit all my marks. But the point is that the majority of the time, I'm doing my 80%. So I say your 80% are habits that happen often every single day, almost without thought. Like, it's what you become. It is who you are. 20% are random choices. They may be planned if it's kind of like a party or whatever, but then it could be something that's just like a random, like all of a sudden type of thing. You know, maybe you go to a birthday dinner and you do decide to eat the birthday cake, have a habit filling meal, and then have a glass of wine, or, you know, have birthday cake or whatever it is. Like, that's not something that happens all the time, you know, whereas your habit filling meal happens pretty much every single meal. All right. So in that lesson, I actually list out what my 80% habits are on a daily basis, weekly and daily. Some of the things are, just to give people an idea of what mine are. And it's not that you need to mirror it, so to speak. You just need to understand that these are healthy habits that have given me the health that I have, that work within my lifestyle. And then underneath that, I talk about what my 20% choices are. The choices, whenever I'm listening to them, just keep in mind, it's not something that happens every single day. Some even don't even happen every single week. But I'm not living for that. Those are just things that happen, speed bump. I don't think much about them. I'm just living for the 80%. And so that kind of like sums up what we're trying to help you guys accomplish, is that we don't want you to be psycho about your eating habits. Yes, there are seasons of time where you are going to want to be stricter. You have a certain goal or whatever it is to change your body in a certain way, or train for something that requires you to be more hyper focused and hyper diligent on your intake and what you do to your body. But then there's those other times where it's not like that, and it shouldn't be like that. You should have what we call a maintenance phase, where you're not always trying to lose weight or even gain weight. You know, there's some people that need to gain weight. You know, it's you have to give your body a certain break when it comes to restriction, your mind and your body, because our bodies are not meant to diet or restrict calories forever. Like, it's it's better to go in waves of, so say for 3 months, like 12 weeks, you were in a restriction. You know, not necessarily and not, when I say restriction, I don't mean like, you know, making yourself crazy hungry. Like, you know, you're just eating a little bit less, you're working out a little bit harder, whatever. You're more hyper vigilant, not eating as much as the 20%. And then maybe like at the end of the challenge, if you've lost like a bunch of weight or your body composition has changed a good bit, it may be a really smart, and I actually recommend this for everyone to go into a maintenance type of phase where you're not actively trying to lose weight, gain weight, anything. You're not trying to move the needle. You're just trying to maintain what you have and just live within the habits. You know, maintenance phases may mean that you don't work out as hard, you know, where your body is not as sore or tired, and you are, not that you're not, you know, doing stressful type of, you know, intense workouts. It's just you're not killing yourself. Okay. And the same thing goes with your eating habits. So if you're a person that has been restricting a lot, you know, and maybe you're mentally tired, see what a maintenance type of eating habit can have for you. And that's something that you will learn to do as well. Like, I think me and Mary touched on this in another chat a few weeks ago, where we talked about how it takes you a few years to try to figure out what that maintenance phase is for you, where you're not losing or gaining, you know, anything. But that's truly where the 80-20 is. 80-20 means you are healthy. You are not necessarily losing weight, because when you're in a restriction phase, you're going to have to be a little bit more, you know, diligent and a little bit more strict with your intake. But then you're also not loosey-goosey, where you're dipping into your 20% more and actually making yourself gain weight. So it's a constant ebb and flow, you know, pull and push of those two sides. And in the middle is where you want to be. And you don't want to necessarily go too far each direction. So a maintenance phase, if you just need a number, could mean you're not losing 5 or so pounds, or losing 5 pounds or gaining 5 pounds. You know, you're just kind of staying steady. And that is okay. Like, whenever your restriction, like say you've lost a bunch of weight, your body actually needs a break to reset its baseline, to understand like, oh, I'm not starving, I am not dying, or whatever it is. It can get used to that new body weight, and then you become this new person. So say you do that maintenance phase for like another couple of months, and then you can hit it hard again. And that will allow your body not to fight against you if you're looking for more weight loss. So yes, of course, there are fast ways to lose weight, but that's one of the reasons why people don't keep the results, is that they go too crazy for too long, and then they get burnout, and they don't learn the foundational habits of what a healthy individual does in a maintenance phase. And so that is exactly what you guys have learned. Y'all have learned how to ramp it up if you want to lose weight, but then you've also been armed with those foundational maintenance type of habits for a lifetime. And so I hope it's all come full circle for you guys, and you feel like you are well armed with these autopilot habits, and you truly feel like you've become a different person that does these things, because you have to become the habits. And that's what happens in this process. You don't just get you can't just get a meal plan and say like, oh, I'm going to eat that every single day. No, you have to learn how to change plans. You got to learn how to live. Learn to live the habits. And those habits, after practice, you become the habits. And that's how you stay healthy for life. All right, I'll end it there. I am so proud of everyone that has, made it through the challenge and stuck through the icky parts, it's only going to serve you, so much in the future, because this is only 12 weeks, technically 13 weeks, because we had set up week, but this is only 12 weeks. You have the rest of your life to keep doing these habits. And again, you can ramp it up or you can maintain. Never go below that level 0, that level 1 habits. You don't go back to level 0 what you started at. You're always going to know these habits. You can't unknow what you know. And so it's the curse of knowledge, which is fine, because it'll just help you make better decisions in the future. And so we'll leave it there. We will, you still got a few days left. Again, remember, turn in those progress pictures. I can take them Thursday morning. Be the encouragement, be the inspiration for someone else. That's what your pictures can do. Anyway, but if you have any questions about turning in the progress pictures, if you need to send them directly to me in my phone, you can do that. I can give y'all my phone number on the page. You can text them straight to me if that's easier. It doesn't matter. I just want them. All right. So if you have any questions about the end of the challenge, keeping your habit tracker app on, any of that, just let us know. But we want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your change. I can't tell you what an honor it is to help people when they trust you with things that they're very insecure with. And that's what all of you guys have done. You have trusted us with some of your deep thoughts, your deep insecurities, and you've trusted us to help you through them. So it is truly an honor to be a coach and to coach people through this program. And I know all the coaches feel the exact same way. And we cannot wait to see what you do past the challenge, because like we've always said, this is only the beginning. So we will see y'all again another time. Bye-bye.